record. Here we go.
Okay.
Live on Facebook.
Okay.
I don't know what that means. There we go.
It does say live. I wouldn't even know how to connect to a live on Facebook.
I just learned, let me tell you. Okay, are we ready?
Yeah.
Here we go. And we are live. I always love it when I can make this work. I am so excited to have you here, Sam. And I just want to let people know that you and I just met like a week ago or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we don't have a history. Some of the other people who've been in the hot seat, I did know for a long period of time. So I'm excited that we get to meet now face to face. We've had some chats on Facebook. And now you have agreed to be in the hot seat, which I'm very excited to have you here. So thank you so much. Tell us a little bit about you.
I'm 48 and I live in near Manchester in the UK, and I have a daughter who's she's 15, sorry, in March. And so when Sophie was born, I used to be a PA, so I worked at AstraZeneca. And then when I had her, I didn't want to sort of go back to work because we had to have fertility treatment, and I didn't want to, after going through all that, I didn't want to, you know, be going back to a normal job. So I set up my own business when she was 2, doing children's parties. So I always kind of wanted to do something for myself and work for myself. So I did that for I've been doing it for 13 years. And then obviously we got hit with COVID last year, and I'd never not been going to work. So for 12 years, every weekend, I'd be going out doing balloon modelling, doing children's parties, you know, just basically having fun and entertaining children. And it suddenly stopped. And it was, you know, I never thought anything had stopped with what we do. And alongside that, for 2 or 3 years, I've learned how to do Reiki, which is a healing modality. And I do crystal healing, and I actually sell crystals as well. So in the long term, I'd like to probably stop doing the kids' parties and move over to doing the more holistic side of things. So obviously COVID hit, and I was suddenly at home, and I was used to being at home in the week, but, you know, at the weekends. So I've kind of changed how I work. So I do healing sessions at home now, doing distant healing. And I'm bringing my crystal stuff more online. And I joined network marketing as well. So I work for a company called Juice Plus, and it's all health and well-being.
Yeah.
And that's one of the best things I ever sort of, you know, decided to do, because it's really brought me out of my comfort zone, because I'm used to entertaining children, but to literally come and do a live on Facebook, you know, it kind of freaked me out.
Yes.
So I've been doing lives for about a year now, and I just love it. You know, I love chatting to the people, and I do live cooking as well. So I show people healthy meals that I cook, but we obviously talk about the products. But yeah, I just really enjoy it, and I enjoy that interact, especially being in lockdown. You know, you've got that social side of things and promoting what you do.
Absolutely, for sure. And it's great that you're stepping out of your comfort zone, but it all kind of comes
Yeah,
together because you're all about healing. And so you're taking a look at
yes,
healing physically, emotionally, spiritually. So I love that
yeah,
you're putting that together and it comes very natural to you to do all of those
yeah.
things. We have way more in common than I even knew when you and I initially started talking. I've only done my level 1 Reiki, and I did it as a
Right.
way to heal myself. And I've just recently got
Yeah.
into crystal healing, and I'm so
Right.
I'm so addicted to learning about
It's amazing.
what each stone does. And I've started my own collection. And I just found out I live in a very small town, and in my town, there's actually a wholesaler of these crystals and
Wow.
stuff. So I just learned this like a month ago.
Wow.
So I need to go, well, once we open back
Wow.
up,
Amazing.
check it out. Um,
Are you in lockdown?
yeah, we're still in lockdown
Are
now.
you in
I'm in Canada. I'm in Ontario, and we went into
right?
lockdown right after Christmas. So
Yeah, we are.
yeah, it's been fun, but as you just said, we've had to learn to, you know, connect online. And I think it's an
Yeah.
interesting medium, and doing lives is such an important part of doing business. And I know a lot of people don't
Yeah,
like to
definitely.
think about that because it scares them, but this is the perfect time for you and I to talk about this, that we have
Yeah,
to step
exactly.
out of our comfort zone and get online and doing these lives
Yeah.
because it's the way of doing business now. We can't
And
meet
sure.
people face to face,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
But what's exciting
Yeah.
about it, and
And also,
sorry, go ahead.
no, it's fine. Honestly, you carry on.
Oh, I was just going to
I,
say
I
that,
just think it's the way business. It's the way business has been as well. Do you know what I mean? We've been forced to come online as well, and I don't always think that's a bad thing, really.
yes, we have to kind of
If that makes sense.
use the technology for good, but it allows us
Yeah,
to connect with people all over the world. Like right now, I'm in Canada, you're in England, and we're having this conversation
yeah,
to people in the group who are from all different places around the world too.
yeah.
So to me, that's
Yeah, it's
mind
amazing.
blowing that we can connect globally now.
Yeah,
And this is what's important in
yeah,
business. And this is where we really need
yeah,
to step into it and come on and do these lives, because there are people watching us,
yeah,
right? They're watching you in business saying, what does Sam have to offer? Let me check
yeah,
out this
exactly.
video. What's she doing here? Oh, I want to watch her cook this recipe. I'm going to try this. And
Yeah,
sometimes we don't know who's watching, but
no,
trust that there is always someone watching. And that means
yeah, definitely.
keep coming back, keep doing it.
Yeah,
So when you do your lives, do you
yeah.
find that there's a lot of people that interact with you while you're doing the live, or do they maybe comment afterwards? I find it's a bit of both.
Um, yeah, a little bit of both. Some of my friends come on, and probably some of the people I work with will come on and you know, chat to you. But I can get messages long time after. I've actually been doing quite a lot of healing sessions online, so I'll put a candle on and say there's Reiki flowing, and I've had like hundreds of views on that. But I think that's something that we really need at the moment. So it's,
Yes.
I'm kind of trying to do what's important, I think, and what I think, you know, I know we all want to work in business, but we've got to give. Sometimes we have to give as well to
Yes.
get a, you know, we have to add value to get something back, I believe. So.
I love that. So do you do videos? How do I want to ask this so it makes sense? Do you do some of your Reiki healing just generally in a live to help out in the world? Have you ever done that?
I do it with the candle, but what I am starting to do, because I've been asked to, I'm start doing, if people want a recording of a Reiki session, I'm going to do it specifically for them, because I can, even though somebody's the other side of the world, I can connect to their body and I can see where areas of their body needs healing, and then they can just keep watching it over and over again.
Right. They can use it as a resource later.
Yeah, because the distant healing works just as much to me as somebody being, you know, next to you.
Right.
If
Okay.
that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So how do you prepare for doing a live video to an audience, let's say, not just individually with a client, because working with a client live one-on-one via doing a live video is very different than when you are speaking out into the abyss to your audience in a group or perhaps on your Facebook page. So what do you do to prepare to do those lives, and is what you do different based on who your audience is?
I kind of do a mixture of, I mean, I have a certain way that I set up my, I mean, I do get nervous, even now I'm nervous about doing lives, but once I start, you know, I feel fine, but I'll set my camera up in a certain way and make sure the lighting's, I have one of those tripods with the lights at the back, because
Awesome.
even sometimes when you're doing a live, I can look quite pale. It's even like the colour of your skin, you know, I can look quite pale sometimes. So
Yeah.
it's even thinking things like that. Because sometimes my husband will say, you look really different on a live to how you do in real life. You know, it's things like that, really.
Right.
But
Absolutely.
I just be myself. You know, there's no point in pretending that I'm quite comical, like when I'm cooking I can trip up and things like that, so that's just me. And I think if you're your authentic self,
Yeah.
people like that, you know, it's rather than pretending to be somebody. It's
Absolutely. Now,
so,
here's where I would tell you to do differently than what I tell other people to do, because of what it is you do. And this makes a difference, because normally when I'm working with people on doing like live videos or doing any kind of speaking event, I talk about preparation before. And that's a vocal warm up, that's, you know, a physical warm up, because we need that energy. And if you've ever done a Tony Robbins event, you know that he has the whole audience jumping up and down all the time. And there's a really, really smart reason for that. It oxygenates, it gets, you know, oxygen flowing through your bloodstream, it pumps up your heart, gets your adrenaline going. And there's all those things that are benefit, but it increases these hormones, and this release of these hormones that make us happier and more energetic, and we just radiate. And so when I tell people before they prepare for their lives do some jumping jacks or do some push-ups or do something that's going to physically get them, woo, feeling
Energy.
good and energetic, but also kind of
Yeah.
shake off some of those nerves. But with what
Yeah.
you do, when you're going to, do a talk on your healing stuff or crystals or whatever, even cooking,
Yeah.
you kind of have to go in a different direction, right? Because yes, you
Yeah.
want
I mean,
energy, but you don't want to come up, all right, people, let's start healing, right?
yeah, because we're
Because,
there to calm people.
yeah, they're going to be going, whoa. So for you, it's
I
really
do
getting in touch with
write a
you.
lot of notes.
Sorry?
Yeah, I do write a lot. I write quite a lot of notes before I do a live. So I don't know if it's my age, but sometimes I forget what I'm going to say. So I do make sure I've got some key notes to.
Very smart, right? It's really difficult to jump on a live and just talk. And I'm capable of doing
Yeah.
it if I have to, but I always make bullet points of the things I want to talk about to make sure that I don't miss something. And I know other people write out full sentence, everything they're going to say and read it.
Yeah.
So, there's no right or wrong. Nobody can
Yeah.
see your notes. It's what you're comfortable with. So that's great, right? Even if you barely look at it, it's still there. It's that security blanket that makes you feel a little bit
Yeah.
more confident because it's there if you need it. So when
I
you're,
actually did a.
go ahead.
So I actually did a course with one of my friends last year before I started doing lives, and this is where I got the tips from. We did like a week of going live and looking at what we talk about. So I got quite a lot of the knowledge from her, really.
Awesome. I love it. Right. And that's also something you just made me think of something. A really great tip is to record yourself and go and watch it. It's
Yeah.
really uncomfortable and
Yeah.
nobody likes it, but it shows you
Yeah.
some of your
How
idiosyncrasies.
you
It
come.
shows, some of the places that might trip you up, and you look at it and go, oh, I didn't even realize that I was doing that. Like some people might play
Yeah.
with their hair and not even know
Yeah.
it because it's an idiosyncrasy. And
Yeah.
usually when somebody points it out, that's when you're like conscious of it and you work really hard to stop it. So when you can record
Yeah.
yourself and watch it and see yourself, as uncomfortable as that is, then you can really have an idea of how you are presenting yourself out there in the cosmos.
Yeah, definitely. It is best to just be yourself, though.
100%, right? Because that's the energy we want people to pick up on.
Yeah.
There are always tricks for us to, have more energy and to, delivery can look very different depending on what your message is. So,
Yeah.
I'm not disputing that. We need to connect the two together, but
Yeah.
always, 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 when in doubt, speak from the heart and be yourself,
Yeah. And
right?
it's just
That's
have
what's
fun
going to
with it as
attract
well.
people.
Yeah. And it's just enjoying it as well. And so I think, like with us, we're talking when you do a live, if there's somebody not actually there, I think that's what gets your nerves working and your fears. That's where it sort of comes from, I think.
Absolutely. Right. And there's tricks that I've talked about in past hot seats too, where sometimes you feel funny speaking into a camera. So I've
Yeah.
made suggestions, put a picture beside the lens,
Yeah, that's a
put a
good
picture
idea.
up
Yeah.
and imagine that that's who you're talking to, or set up some
Yeah.
stuffed animals or make your pet sit there and talk to them, whatever you need so that it feels like you're talking to someone. Right? It's very different
Yeah.
when we are actually live somewhere and there's an audience in front of us. Then those tips
Yeah.
and tricks are very, very different because you've got live people in
Yeah.
front staring at you. But when you're in front of a camera, it's harder to imagine that audience watching us because we don't see them. They're there, but they're not
Yeah.
there. So that connection
Yeah.
is very different. Do you
I know, because I found,
go
sorry,
ahead? No,
I
sorry.
found that bit quite hard, because I can stand up in front of 450 children and entertain them, and that doesn't bother me. But that camera, no one there, that was my sort of block in getting over that, really.
Yes. What people should understand is that if you can do what you did in front of hundreds of children,
Yeah.
they're the hardest audience to keep entertained, right? So anything after that, just remind yourself, this is a
Yeah.
walk in the park compared to trying to keep 400 kids engaged.
Yeah.
And I was a teacher for 17 years. So I know what it's like to have to be on all the time with kids and
Yeah.
you're exhausted by the end. So,
Yeah.
you know, think of this as, ah, these people want to listen to me. I don't have to force them to listen
Yeah.
to me. And the joy of doing lives for me is I'm not constantly saying, Johnny, sit down. Heather, can
Yeah.
you go to the office and pick up blah, 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 right? I'm not having to put out a million fires while I'm trying to teach a lesson. So I look to gratitude for that I don't have those interruptions. So embrace those small little things when you're doing a live.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
sometimes what I do is I imagine that it's just me in my mirror practicing,
Yeah.
because then it it's something that we're comfortable doing,
Yeah. I know what you mean.
right? Versus thinking, oh, there could be how many hundreds of people watching me right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Where if
But I
it's
mean,
just me in the bathroom with my hairbrush.
yeah, singing.
Exactly.
I know, because I can't sing to say, when we do a party, we always have to sing happy birthday at the end.
Oh.
And I kind of do it with the microphone away from me, because I thought that everyone's going to be screeching.
Good thing about happy birthday, everybody will
Everybody,
join in.
yeah. Thank God.
Especially if they're kids, right? They're like, ooh, my favorite song.
Yeah, definitely.
That is awesome. Um, do you have any questions for me?
What do you actually, what's your, I know you've done Reiki, but what's your sort of background? What's your job?
What I do now is I'm a voice specialist.
Oh, wow.
So anything and everything to do with voice is what I do. And I've been doing it since before I was a teacher. And I've always done it as a side gig, even when I was a teacher.
Yeah.
So I just realized, as much as I love teaching, I needed to leave the classroom because there's a lot of politics in education now,
Yeah.
more so than before. And
Yeah.
I didn't feel I was having the impact I wanted to, which is why I liked teaching, is because I could really connect with the kids and really make a difference.
Yeah.
And I just found that getting to be harder and harder. So I was enjoying doing the one-on-one work that I was doing in my
Yeah.
side business. And so
Yeah.
now I've just kind of taken it to a new level where I still do some one-on-ones, but now I'm able to do this kind of coaching in groups and help people feel confident speaking. And so I work with singers, I work with actors, performers, public speakers, and I work with business people. And it's about
Yeah.
teaching them how to use their voice in a way that's going to help them tell a story, tell who they are, be the voice of their
Yeah.
brand, their business, to book that audition, to you know, to do all those things that they're out in the world doing. And now I can do it in group coaching as well and have different
That's
forums
amazing.
that way. Yeah. And I'm loving it because it's what I've always done. It's what I know. I'm actually a professional actor. So,
Wow.
you know, I work in TV and film and on stage. Well, before COVID on stage. And so I'm putting my superpowers to good use in trying to help others
Yeah,
succeed in whatever it is that they're doing. And I also know what it's like to lose my voice because I
yeah,
went through some traumatic events and I lost my ability to speak, to stand up for myself, to have a voice in the world. And I was able to heal and find that again. And I want to be able
yeah,
to help others do that as well in that realm. So
yeah,
I like working with people who've gone through trauma, who are trying to find themselves again and be able to give some insight and help in that regard too.
yeah. You don't realize how things affect us on an emotional, physical, spiritual level, do you? Really, it's
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
yeah,
it, I'm sure the chakras and stuff, my throat
yeah,
chakra was just
mm,
blocked completely. And when I identified myself through my voice
yeah,
to not have it,
yeah,
it was such a disconnect for me
yeah.
because being a performer and a singer, I didn't sing for 4 years
Wow.
because I wasn't able to do it. And so I know what those blocks can feel like,
Yeah.
and it can
And they
be.
make you ill as well. They can make you ill, can't they? It's
Yeah, absolutely, right? It has such an effect on so many areas of your life.
yeah,
So
definitely.
my goal is to teach women specifically to stand in their power and to
No, it's
use their
amazing.
voice to be strong, to be heard, and to empower them to go out into the world and show their gifts and be
Yeah,
them, be them.
that's amazing.
Cool.
Well, you get what you do, you get it back, don't you, as well? It's like when I heal, I get the healing back as well. So it works both ways, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And when you can see people succeed and or find it and you get to witness those aha
Yeah.
moments or those moments of pivot and change, and it's so exciting for me to see. And I've worked with people in, like I said, all different areas, but there was a kid I worked with years ago who was selectively mute, and
Oh,
she came into my kindergarten class and she wouldn't speak to me. She wouldn't barely speak to her parents. There was few select people that she would speak to. And when she did speak, she would whisper.
oh,
So she had this amazing desire to be part of everything, but she wasn't communicating in that way. And
yeah.
working with her in my class, and then I worked with her individually, and I've worked with her now for 14 years. I watched her go from not speaking at all to
Mm,
doing speech competitions and winning, to singing in a choir, to singing a
yeah.
solo, to competing in singing
Wow, that's
competitions.
amazing.
And now she's 18 in university studying business, and she has just developed into this most amazing young woman. And seeing stuff like that is exactly why I love doing what I do.
No, that's amazing. You found your calling.
Yeah, when you can watch people step into themselves and step into who they are meant to be, that to me
Yeah.
is so powerful and so exciting. And I cherish and I value what that is and that I get to witness it.
Yeah, exactly. I get a lot of, like, when I'm doing the parties, if I get a lot of autistic children are naturally drawn to me, and I think it's the healing side. We've done like arts and craft events, and I remember this little boy coming up to me, and he walked away and kept coming back, and I had him like drawing, and his mum come up to me and she said, I've never seen him do that with anyone before, but I didn't kind of say from what point of view I could see it. But you know, it's things like that. You those types of people in as well.
Right. And when you stand in your power,
Yeah, it's amazing.
then yeah, because you're right, that energy is what attracts people to you
Yeah.
and to what you do. And it's kind of that reassurance, especially when there's an autistic child who would do that. They sense energy almost more so than we do.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so when that happens, you know you're doing something right.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
It's
I
like
love that.
when I'm doing the markets, a lot of the children will come and buy the crystals from me, and it's if they're doing exams or you know they've got anxiety at school, or I'm all about helping children and you know giving them the confidence to. That's what's important to me. It's future generations as well to be able to do whatever you want. Anything's possible, isn't it? Now?
Yes, I love that. Yes, absolutely. Yes, 100 times. Yes. I think that is such an amazing message. It's 12:30, so I think that's even a great message for us to end on is, when we can empower people, and that's exactly what you're doing. So
Yeah, and yeah,
use that nervousness you get when you do the lives and
yeah,
shift that mindset to excitement
yeah,
versus nervous.
yeah,
There's a very fine line between excitement and nervousness. And
yeah.
when you can
Definitely.
reframe it, then it makes just a slight shift and will change
Yeah,
that energy for you as well.
yeah, definitely. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you for being willing to do this. I love it. And
Yeah,
this will be posted to YouTube as well. And we're going to post all your
right.
links and where people can find you. And I'm so
Thank
excited
you.
that I got to, chat with you and get to know you better. And we
Mhm.
are definitely going to be in touch because, just this conversation has showed me we have way more in common than even I had first imagined.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
And
yeah,
I love
definitely.
that. That's what I love about being able to connect online with people.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. I know it was lovely to meet you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Nice day. Thank you.
Okay. So I've stopped the live stream. Oh, and I